Thank you very much for your help, Kevin. 4 years ago, the Southwest Region Executive Committee established a Friend of Education Award. It is an annual award given to someone associated with our region in some way who has genuine interest in education and a demonstrated concern for students and the ideals of public education. It is the highest award we give. Joe, on behalf of the region, I'd like to also present you with this check for $1,000 to the Character Education Fund. We know it will be used well.
Thank you. Thank you very much, John. And you know, I just can't describe my feelings because none of this has ever been my goal to be receiving awards. I'll be very honest with you. My goal is to hopefully help some kids become better citizens and to help educate them. And to be with all of you folks from Board of Educations around this part of the state, it's an extreme honor. And you know, we've always felt that levies were for the kids. And the thing that always hurt me was somebody banging the kids and also the teachers, because I think if they would just think about what goes on and what a tremendous job you folks have in teaching our children and making them better citizens. And the Character Education Program certainly is a part of that to help the teachers make better citizens of our youngsters. And the thing I like to look at is there's not a bad kid anywhere. There's not, to me, a bad kid anywhere. It's just the fact that some of them need a little more help than others. And I think that's the idea of the Character Education Program, without a doubt. You know, and being here with you folks, I got to tell you this story about my start in baseball. Some of you might have heard it, but this is a true story. As John pointed out, starting at 15 years old and pitched against the Cardinals, and in that particular outing, gave up 5 runs, walked 5, 2 hits, and a wild pitch. And that was in 2/3 of an inning. So that was June the 10th, 1944. It was a Saturday afternoon. Monday night, I was on a train to Birmingham, Alabama. And I'm 15 years old, never been out of Butler County. And I'm on my way to Birmingham, Alabama, all by myself. So I get to Birmingham, and of course, have to find a place to live. And I wind up staying with a gentleman named Dick Sypek, who was a deaf mute. And we got along very well. So anyway, they have, I'm throwing batting practice, and our manager is Johnny Riddle. Well, I was so wild, being a left-hander, and I was knocking guys off, our own guys, you know. And batting, finally he said, that's it. You don't throw any more batting practice. So now they decide they're going to have this big day that the 15-year-old kid is going to pitch against the Little Rock Travelers. So this is published in the Birmingham News, and the Board of Education in Birmingham picks up on it. And they call Mr. Florence, who was our general manager. And they said, is this true that you have a 15-year-old kid going to pitch? And they said, yes. And he says, the board says, well, does he have a working permit? Said, what? A working permit? You had to be a certain age. I don't recall the exact age factor, but you had to have be a certain age. So it's well, no, he doesn't have one. So you're going to have to get him a worker's permit. Well, what are we going to have to do? Well, you'll have to get his mother and father okay. We have to see a birth certificate, and we'll send, give you these forms to send back to these parents and have them fill them out and so on and so forth. So we get it all done, and it's a Sunday afternoon. I'll never forget it. And I pitched another 1/3 of an inning that day, gave up 5 more runs, walked 5 more, and got my first strikeout as a professional. So my first year in professional baseball, I pitched 1 inning total. 2/3 at the major league level, 1 in the minor leagues. Gave up 10 runs, all of them earned. Gave up 3 hits, walked 10, and got my first major, professional strikeout, and 3 wild pitches, by the way. And that was and now, 60 years later, I'm still talking about 22 years as a professional ball player. And I think over those years, I've learned a lot about life. When you look back on something like that, one of my problems was temper. I mean, temper. I thought that, if I walked somebody, I had to throw the ball, instead of throwing it 95, I had to throw it 125, and that type thing. And I found out that wasn't the way things worked. And that was part of character, finding out something, and it took a while to find that out. And it really did. Another thing I learned when I was a kid at Hanover School, and that was, back in those days, that was it. It was 1 through 12. You were all in the same building. And I'll never forget my teacher, Mrs. Evans, teaching me how to eat and respect it. And it had to do with butter beans. God's truth. And I ate everything on my plate but the butter beans. And Mrs. Evans came by and she looked and she says, "Joseph, you're going to eat those butter beans?" I said, "No." She said, "Well, you don't come back to class until you eat the butter beans." So I learned something there. You know what? I still like butter beans. So, there are all kinds of things I think we can discuss and look at, but really the idea, and Kim and Bonnie have been the big people in the character education thing. I don't know if Kim said something like 150,000 students are involved in the character education, and really the goal of the program is not only our district, but we like to spread it out as far as we can, because as I say, it's very important, I think, to our children, and you folks know it better than I do, that we have good kids, but as I said at the outset, some of them just need a little more help in making them better. And that certainly is our goal. And, we've had a scholarship program that we have a golf outing. And, one of the most proud days of the year for me is handing out these scholarships. Because, I look at these youngsters, seniors, and you look at each one of them, and they tell you what their field is going to be. But like I tell people, you don't know. I mean, we're giving these kids $2,000, which is not a lot of money. But the point that I like to make, that you don't know that maybe one of those youngsters will come up and say, "We have a cure for cancer. We have a cure for Alzheimer's." You don't know. And it's really an honor to be able to just help a kid get started. Because, again, we don't know exactly what will happen with that particular youngster. And so we've been able to do that for 20 years. And the character education thing is great. We have one more project, and I got to tell you about it. And this has to do with One Way Farm in Fairfield. Is there anybody in the room familiar with One Way Farm? Well, we know you know what I'm talking about. Excuse me. And the thing about One Way Farm is a place that takes care of abused children, mentally retarded children, and so on. And we have a project to build a gym for them. And the lady down there, Barbara Kondo, I can't explain what a great woman she is and what she does with these children. So that's another project we have going. But I enjoy every bit of it, and again, this is great. Don't get me wrong, I really appreciate it. But my goal is just to help. I enjoy the levies every year, or every year that they come up. We've been able to lend our name to them, particularly in Fairfield, and get them passed. And I think those are so important. And I think you folks our hats off to you all, because you have to do an awful lot of work in trying to get these things passed, and they get more difficult each time out. Well, I wish you all the very best of luck, and I thank you for this tremendous honor, and good luck to all of you. Have a nice winter, and we'll see you at the baseball season. I hope the Reds win.